there from what I'm told. So you're definitely looking guard if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, and they are crushed that Baldwin is gone, and Hield is gone, and Murray's gone, and Dunn is gone. They're, like I said, they're really devastated by all of this. Far as this is, because this is where I told you, but now we're getting into the spot where it's all size, and it's a crapshoot. But there is at least one or two of these guys here, 10 through 20. Most of them are going to be big men, power forwards, or centers. The majority of them will be. And at least one or two of them are going to pan out. It's just none of us are really sure which ones are going to do that or how long it might take, because several of them are really young, or or inexperienced from over in Europe and stuff like that. And so when the Bucks are unable to make a trade involving this pick, they will take the best available guard, who is a point guard slash shooting guard. So it's nice. You got, I like that. If they're both an area of need, you take this guy, and it's like, well, he might not work out at point guard, but he could still work out at shooting guard, or vice versa. So I fully expect at 10 the Milwaukee Bucks to draft point guard slash shooting guard DeJounte Murray out of Washington. So now with Orlando picking at 11, telling you they are looking for either a shooting guard, point guard maybe even, or a power forward. At this point, the guards, obviously, there's been a run on guards. It is a guard league. The guard talent is limited. You got to get one if you want one. So Orlando is stuck at basically having their pick of the litter of the best of the rest amongst the power forwards, and there are a lot of worthy candidates here who can play power forward. They're either listed as a power forward or a power forward slash center. Those candidates would be a guy that I would kind of like to see the Timberwolves get if they trade here into this area of the draft, trading Ricky Rubio to get some size, like I mentioned earlier. In one of these spots, Henry Ellenson, power forward from Marquette. Another Deontay Davis, power forward slash center from Michigan State. Scalabrine from Kentucky. Domantas Sabonis, son of Arvydas Sabonis, who went to Gonzaga. Or maybe they do reach on one of the available guards like a Denzel Valentine or something. But those, I really think you're going to see him go power forward there. And I think that ultimately, your guess is as good as mine, but I feel like they're probably going to go with Henry Ellenson. So yes, we're going to do Henry Ellenson, power forward, going 11 to Orlando. And then now we've got the Utah Jazz, who need a point guard like a freaking, like a fish needs water. Sitting at 12, there are no point guards available. Who comes calling but the Minnesota Timberwolves? Ding, ding, ding. And this, in fact, is where the Timberwolves will trade Ricky Rubio. Ricky Rubio, pack your bags. You're going to Utah, buddy. That's where you're spending the next year at least of your career when we trade you for the 12th pick in the draft. And then we will use it to take a center, a true center of size that should have been drafted, 5 to 7 picks ago. But because of the way this draft's going to play out, the way the league is, just, for all the factors we've cited, he is still going to be on the board here at 12, and that is going to be all the T-Wolves need to pull this trade. At 12, the Minnesota Timberwolves, making their second selection of the first round, will select center Jakob Poeltl from Utah, 7'1", 240 pounds. He is a defensive guy. Thibodeau is going to love his defense. It's going to, like I said, it'll open the 4 spot for Cat, where he'll really be able to do the most damage, I think, that he can do. And so, like I said, or maybe an Ellenson, or any of those other couple guys that we named, Davis. And so we'll do just a couple more here. Then I think at 13, Phoenix, if they stay put, will take another power forward slash center, big guy front court player, since there are no swingmen available. They'll take power forward slash center Deontay Davis at 13. And then at 14, Chicago is just sitting there Hopefully, Chicago is hoping that Chicago is not sitting there at 14. They're hoping that they have traded up by this point in time. However, if they have not, I would say they'll probably go with who most people feel is the highest potential player left at this point in the draft, and that would be Kentucky power forward / center Skal Labissière, 7 feet tall, 216 pounds. He is going to be a developmental project, but I don't know. Their hands are so tied here. Actually, no, scratch that. I think the Bulls will end up taking the Sabonis kid at 14 because he's the most NBA ready. And so it's, we're not rebuilding. Our rookie can come in and help out right now. Yeah, sure, whatever. Whatever helps you sleep at night, Chicago. You guys are in rebuilding mode big time. Denver at 15. They'll take the Skal Labissière kid from Kentucky. That's where he'll go. Boston then at 16, I think he'll take high potential but high risk shooting guard / small forward swingman Malachi Richardson from Syracuse. Then Memphis at 17, needing a swingman, I think they take Taurean Prince, small forward from Baylor, possibly Denzel Valentine from Michigan State, but we're going to go with the kid from Baylor. Then Detroit at 18. You know what? Let's have them pick the hometown kid. Denzel Valentine goes 18 to Detroit. That would be a popular pick, and I like the sound of it. So at 19, Denver's gonna, if they stay put, they're gonna look to get a foreign swingman, Furkan Korkmaz. No, I didn't just swear there. That's the guy's name, Furkan Korkmaz. 6'7", 185, guard / forward out of Turkey, 18 years old. And that is where I'm going to call this mock draft. My brain is it's mentally spent. It can't handle any more basketball analysis for tonight. So we're officially putting out Balls on Fire. And we are going to quickie style through the rest of the topics here on tonight's show, as I am not going to exceed more than 2 hours. All right, well, how fitting for that. How fitting is the fact that, easy for me to say, how fitting is it that for our 69th episode, Balls on Fire was basically Balls Dribble too. So it only makes sense that we quickie, our first quickie here, working our way to the end of the show, as we struggle to do each and every week here, should be Balls on Ice. So let's talk just a little tiny bit of hockey. As I mentioned at the top of the show, the NHL hockey draft starts this Friday. Is when the first round is. That is being held in the great metropolis of Buffalo, New York. The Sabres playing host to that event this year. And I believe, based off of what I've heard, I don't know how accurate it is, but this year's NHL draft seems a lot like this year's NBA draft and a lot like this year's NFL draft, where there is plenty of deep talent in that 3 to 20 range, but once you get past that, there's a very small elite tier, and then there's a decent sized second tier, but then once you get past that second tier, it drops off pretty quickly. And good thing for the Wild, they are inside the top 20. I want to say they're picking like 15th or 16th, somewhere in there. I've gotten assurance from the mouth of the GM that we will get a good player, in fact, with that first round draft pick. So that's some wonderful assurance. I think it'll be interesting to see what kind of player we target with that pick. Obviously, I don't think we're going to look goalie. It would be interesting to see if we look defensive men as well. I would very much expect some kind of scoring forward or center. Well, center's technically a forward kind of too, but some kind of scoring forward, maybe even more of a pure center that can pass and distribute the puck as well as shoot it. I would definitely look for someone on that front line, either at center or one of the wing spots, to be where they go in the first round. That's definitely where their most common weaknesses year after year is those sniper type of goal scorers or those opportunity creating type of centers. So hopefully we can get a player like that in the first round that doesn't take too long to develop, and we can get him up here and contribute in towards a Stanley Cup here within the next year or two. The other bit of NHL news that I should have discussed a week or two ago is that there is an NHL team moving to Los Angeles. Well, not moving to Los Angeles, expanding there, creating expansion, one or two teams in the NHL, and Las Vegas has been guaranteed an expansion team in the NHL. I want to say starting in the 2018 season, I believe. So 2 more years yet for them to get their stuff together, but quite possibly it's as soon as next year, 2017. I will double check on that for you sometime here in the near future, just not right now because I'm trying to get wrapped up. And it's already Thursday now. I started recording this on Wednesday. It is Thursday morning now. I have super busy life, so yeah, I'm just trying to get it done. But the talker, I think, with that issue has been how many people have a problem with pro sports being in Las Vegas with the gambling and whatnot, and the corruption and whatever. And my retort to that is, is there talk about removing the professional sports teams from the Washington, D.C. area? Because if Washington, D.C. is allowed to have professional sports teams, then I don't see why Las Vegas shouldn't be allowed to have professional sports teams. There is every bit as much, of anything negative or immoral or however you want to freaking look at it in our nation's capital as there is in the city of sin, that being Las Vegas. So, as far as I'm concerned, as long as there's sports in Washington, D.C., absolutely there can and should be sports in Las Vegas as well. I find it interesting that the National Hockey League is the first major league sport to actually venture into Las Vegas. Hopefully it provides a boost of interest in the National Hockey League. Everyone knows as a league, as a sport, at least here in the United States, it could certainly use it. All right, but that's our hockey talk for tonight. Let's see, next quickie, we're going to go to... I'll tell you what, we'll go back to basketball so that we're done with basketball entirely. A little bit of WNBA news the other day. The then 12-0 Minnesota Lynx went to Los Angeles to take on the then 11-0 Los Angeles Sparks. Excuse me. This is the first time ever in WNBA history that two teams had met this late into the season, both with undefeated records. The Minnesota Lynx, with one game up being played, on the Los Angeles Sparks, had started out to a WNBA all-time historic best 12-0. 11-0 was the best start ever, which the Spark had tied this year, and so something had to give. One of the two best teams in the WNBA was going to lose their first game of the season, and in an absolute back-and-forth, nail-biting, down-to-the-wire thriller, complete with last-second buzzer-beating controversy and all, the Minnesota Lynx hold on to beat the Los Angeles Sparks by 3 points and extend their perfect start to 13-0, and the Sparks dropping to an embarrassing, pathetic 11-1. And as far as the other WNBA teams go, all 4 of the other teams in the Western Conference, outside of the Sparks and the Lynx, are below 500. Dallas Wings are 6-7, Seattle Storm 4-9, Phoenix Mercury, who were supposed to be really good this year, but apparently they're really not, 4-9, and the San Antonio Stars 2-10. Out east, battling for third best record in the league, third best team in the league, we've got the New York Liberty with a 1-game lead in first place at 9-4. Trailing them by a game at 8-5 is the Atlanta Dream, followed at 7-7 by the Washington Mystics, followed at 6-7 by the Chicago Sky with last year's defending MVP Ella Belladonna. Man, she's awesome. Check her out. And then Indiana Fever at 5-9. I think they were a playoff team last year too. I want to say the Lynx took them out. And then the Connecticut Sun at 3-10. Boom, there's your WNBA beat. All right, more than ESPN will give you. Keeping it moving on, let's go to baseball, where my and possibly your Minnesota Twins, after tonight, here Wednesday night, now that you're listening to this and I'm finishing it on Thursday, are currently riding, brace yourselves, sit down for this, a 3-game winning streak. Oh my gosh, I know, right? On Sunday, we beat the Yankees in our final of 4 games against them by a score of 7-4. Then we had Monday off, which was much needed. On Tuesday, we stayed